Welcome back to my channel. This is Nikki of Nikki's Homemade Craft, and today we're going to talk about mosaic crochet. Welcome to the mosaic crochet mystery crochet along part 1, and you are finally going to learn how to do overlay mosaic crochet the regular way, the most basic way, very easy technique. Trust me, if you know how to do single crochet, double crochet, front loops and back loops, then you're good to go. You just have to learn how to use a graph with a few symbols, and then you're good to go. So let's go through the material list for just a second on how to access the written instructions of this pattern. I used a Lion Brand's Color Theory yarn for one of the skeins, and I also used Ice Cream Roving yarn, also from a Lion Brand. I would recommend, if you're not using Ice Cream Roving yarn, then make sure whatever is your second color, make sure you have 2 of them. Meaning Ice Cream Roving yarn is 200 grams and you're gonna need a lot more than 100 grams in order to finish the project. So one skein, the solid color, which is what I picked, the solid, you can totally swap it around, that's totally fine. All of them are worsted yarn. One of the colors, for me that's solid, is less than 100 grams, and then the other one, which I used a 200 gram ball, you're gonna need 2 skeins of 100 grams each or a 200 gram ball. Furthermore, I'm also using a 4mm crochet hook. To access the written instructions of this pattern, please see the link down below in the description. Once you click that, you're headed over to our website. You're going to scroll down. There's a table of content that allows you to click directly onto the written part of this pattern. So click there. It's going to beam you right there, and then you have the written instructions right in front of you. That is the free version with ads. If you prefer the ad-free version, you can also join my membership, the Crochet Club, which gets you access to over 400 ad-free patterns, plus weekly live tutorials where I'm teaching you exactly what you want to be taught, and we even have monthly virtual get-togethers, plus so much more, all ad-free. And you can join as a monthly, quarterly, or annual member. And for this mystery crochet along, you can even become a trial member where you only get access to the ad-free version of this mystery crochet along and the Facebook group for the membership for 7 days as a trial. Now let's get started with part 1. For part 1, you're going to work on this graph. This is the graph you're going to follow. It does look a lot harder than it seems, but I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm going to make a small sample from down here. I blew it up a little bit so you can easily see it, and we're going to work through the actual technique so you can learn how to do mosaic crochet. And trust me, it's much easier than you might think. So you have 2 different colors. Okay, I made it red and white, even though I didn't use actually red and white. I used white and blue, but the blue may have been hard to see on camera, so I picked red here. So what you see in red and white right here is the actual image of what you're creating, but you're actually not going to focus on that as you're crocheting it. The color behind it is just going to tell you how the actual image will look like, and it kind of gives you an idea to make sure that you're on the right track. But what you're actually going to focus on is the symbol or having no symbol. Let me zoom this in just a tad so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I have here a zoomed in version of the big graph. So here I just have a few stitches and a few rows so that you can actually see it a little bit more close up and to understand the differences. Okay, so we have 2 different types of stitches we're working on. We have the single crochet in a back loop only, and we have the mosaic double crochet. The mosaic double crochet is pretty much a double crochet in a front loop. So when you use the single crochet in a back loop, there's a front loop left over, and you're going to use it right here in the mosaic double crochet. Okay, so here's how you're going to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to completely ignore all these colors, because if you look here on the side, you're actually going to realize that it's exactly the same thing. It just depends on what color are you using, right? So you're going to simply focus on whether the pixel is blank or has an X. That's what you're going to focus on. That's it. Okay, so you're going to focus on 2 things. Remember, Is it blank? Then it's going to be a single crochet in a back loop only. Is it an X? Then you're going to make it into a mosaic double crochet. Let me remind you what a mosaic double crochet is. It is a double crochet that is done in a front loop, but it is actually done 2 rows down. Okay, so that is why there is a white pixel right here. It's because this mosaic double crochet right here is covering up the red one behind it. Okay, so there is a red stitch behind here, but you can't see it, okay, because the white one right here is covering it up. So we're going to take this one step at a time, and I'm going to do a few rows here so that you can exactly see how to get started. Okay, be aware for the big graph, you're actually going to have 81 stitches across. Okay, but you're going to need to chain 82. Okay, so you always have one extra in the beginning, that's the turning chain, right? So it is 82 chains you're going to chain, and you're going to have 81 stitches per row. So let's do a few rows of this. I'm going to work on this little sample right here, and I'm going to chain 10 because I have 9 stitches. Okay, so let's do this. I'm just gonna put this right here so we have the first 3 rows shown for now. All right, so I made here a chain of 10. Okay, and I understand it may be hard to see, but it's only the first row that we have this light color, and then we're going to start with a darker color, so it'll be a little bit easier to see. Anyways, the very first row is done with just single crochet, so that's not really a back loop or a front loop situation. In fact, I actually prefer going into the back bump for the very first row. It just makes it a lot cleaner looking, so I highly recommend doing that. Be aware with the ice cream yarn that it is roving yarn, so it may be hard to frog, so just a little heads up on that. It is really beautiful and soft, but it can be hard to frog. So anyways, we're going to go into the back bump right here. So let's look at it closely. If you've never done this before, we have here the front loop, we have the back loop, and if you turn it slightly around, you have the back bump. So we're going to go into the back bump starting from the second chain from the hook, and we're going to simply crochet single crochet stitches, 1 stitch at a time. Okay, so meaning it says here we have 9 stitches. There's no X or anything, so it's just blank, and every stitch is a single crochet. So meaning 1 pixel equals 1 stitch. Once you're done, it's going to look like this. It's just a row of single crochet stitches. So what you're going to do now is you're going to make a slip knot right here in the back, and you're going to snip your yarn. Whoop! Yep, that's what you're actually going to do. You have to cut your yarn on these projects, okay? So I like to cut it just a bit longer, just in case I make a mistake. I rip this back out here a little bit and fix it. So, which is also great. So if you ever do a mistake or anything, you don't have to rip everything out. You just have to rip out a little bit of it, right? So to get to the problem area and then fix it from there. Okay, so now that we have the very first row done, we have 9 stitches, okay, just like it's shown here on my little sample, and we're now going to go into row 2. There is no turning of your work over here. This is mosaic crochet. It's similar to, I guess, the same idea as Tunisian crochet, because you're going to work only on the front of your project, okay? Meaning you're never turning your work on mosaic crochet, you're just staying on one side. That means we're going to start again on the front right here. So this time we're going to do the darker color. Hopefully this is not too dark to see on camera. I'm gonna fingers crossed here. So anyways, you're going to literally look at the graph. I personally prefer the graph over the written instructions because I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, and it gives me kind of both information. The written instructions will only give you one information. It gives you, is it a single crochet in a back loop only, or is it going to be a mosaic double crochet? That's it. It doesn't give you the actual image that you're making. So here on number 2, okay, which is row 2, you're going to see that you have some white spots in between. You're pretty much going to ignore them. You're only going to look at, does the pixel have an X or is it blank? If it's blank, you're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only. It doesn't matter what color it is. Okay, it really doesn't matter. So, which makes it really easy. So we have here just blank pixels. What means the entire row is done in single crochet in a back loop only. So attach your slip knot to your hook. That way you don't have to make a chain of one, okay? And we're going to go straight into the very first stitch. However, I personally like, and this is why I made this a little differently, okay? If you look at this graph, you're going to see that I added these little dots here in the front, okay? And these little dots in the back. They actually allow you to see which color you're using. And we're going to use them as edge stitches, okay? So that means the first column right here and the very last column are just going to be single crochet stitches, like regular. You can totally do it in a back loop only if you prefer. I'm going to make the very first stitch here a regular single crochet stitch, okay? That's it. Now you don't have to. You can totally do it as a single crochet in a back loop only. So let's do that. The very first one, as I said, as an edge stitch, I'm going to make into a single crochet, just a regular one, going through both loops. So after that, I'm going to go into the back loop only. Okay, so single crochet in the back loop only. That's what you're going to do for the entire row until you hit the very last stitch. Now for my sample right here, because I took a cut out, I'm just going to use it as a single crochet in a back loop only. But for your big project, you're going to have the very last stitch as a regular single crochet. So there we go. And now that I'm done, I'm going to make again a slip knot. So there we go. We're done with the first two rows. Now let's go into the rows that actually have an X. And you're going to notice that it's very common like that you're going to have the very first two rows. They're almost known as the foundation rows. In order to get started with mosaic crochet, you can't have an X unless you already have a white row beforehand. Okay, for example, this X right here, which is done in white or in my variegated yarn, right? And you're going to need to go 2 rows down. In order to go 2 rows down, you're going to need a row down here. And the same is true for this one right here. In order to go 2 rows down, you're going to need a row already there. Okay, so the very first one is kind of, think of it like as 3 stitches. And then afterwards you have a stitch. And then again, it's then 3 stitches, right, in total. So you always have to have like 1 row in between in order to have a mosaic double crochet, because a double crochet is double the height of a single crochet. Okay, so let's do row 3. I'm going to cover up row 4 right now so it doesn't get confusing. So we're going to use again our lighter color, or for me that's the lighter color. You can totally switch it around. Just stick with it, whatever you have, right? So meaning the color, the yarn that you have more of should be the very first one you're starting out with. Okay, whatever you have more of, that's the very first color. Whatever you have less of, that's your second color. So meaning main color and contrasting color. Okay, so the very first stitch again is just a single crochet. So let's follow the graph. The next stitch is going to be a mosaic double crochet. So let me show you what that means. So since we went into the back loop only, we have these front loops left over. Perfect, because we're going to use those. Okay, so you're literally going to go 2 rows down. You're going to pick up this front loop right there. Okay, so yarn over. For the double crochet, you're going to go down here, go through that front loop, yarn over and pull through. And now finish it up like a regular double crochet. 1 and 1. Okay, so there we go. We have a double crochet now, but it's done in the front loop only right here. 2 rows down to the same color. And you can see now how this mosaic double crochet is covering up the blue right behind it. And now you understand why this pixel right here is not red or blue, right? It is white because this double crochet is covering it up. So now you have to count how many stitches are left until the next one. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have the next one. So that means because there's 5 blank ones, you're going to have 5 single crochets. So make sure you're not going to go into the one that's covered up, right? You're going to go into the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And as you can see right here, I went into the back loop only. Okay, so that way we have a front loop left over. We may need that in the following row. So the next stitch, as you can see on the graph, is going to be a mosaic double crochet. So again, yarn over, you're going to go 2 rows down to the same color into that front loop, yarn over, pull through, and then finish it up like a double crochet. Done. And then we have here for my little swatch, we have 1 more stitch, and that's going to be a single crochet. There we go. Okay, so now we're done with row 3. So make a slip knot, snip your yarn. So now we're going to go into the next row. So let's do 1 or 2 more rows. We'll see how we go. All right, let's go into the next row. Again, we're switching colors, right? So you're always going back and forth between the 2 colors. So we're now in row 4. And row 4 has here a single crochet, and then here's a mosaic double crochet. By the way, when I say single crochet now, I mean in the back loop only. Besides the very first and the very last one, they're just going to be regular single crochet stitches as edge stitches. You can totally do them as single crochet in the back loop only too if you feel like that's too confusing. Otherwise, don't worry about it. They're known as edge stitches. You just need something there so it's cleaner in the end. Anyways, so we have blank pixels right here. So these are single crochet, and then we have an X, and when you see an X, you're going to do a mosaic double crochet. Then we have 3 pixels that are blank, so single crochet. Then we have a mosaic double crochet, single crochet, mosaic double crochet. Okay, so let's do this row together. So I made my 2 single crochets here, and now we're going to do again a mosaic double crochet. So yarn over. You're going to go 2 rows down to the exact same color right there, and you're going to go through that front loop, yarn over and pull through, and finish it up like a double crochet. Now we have 3 stitches right there, so they're just going to be single crochet in the back loop only. And now you're going to go again 2 rows down and do your mosaic double crochet in that leftover front loop. Then we have a single crochet, and in my little tiny swatch I have another mosaic double crochet 2 rows down. There we go, and that's how it looks like now. And you can see now how my project literally looks like the image that you see, but you're actually, while you're crocheting, you don't care about what the colors are. You care about whether it's a blank pixel or a pixel with an X. So here again, I would make a slip knot and snip my yarn. How much yarn you snip is up to you. I personally prefer in the beginning to cut about, what is this, 3 inches or so roughly. Okay, just that I have something to go with. So in case I missed a stitch, I can go back and redo it without having to rip everything back out because I still have a little bit left over here. Okay. And then you're just going to keep going. So let me show you how the big project actually looks like. So you are going to do this entire thing for part 1. Yup, it doesn't take that long. I promise it goes fairly quickly. You have 81 stitches per row, and you have 29 rows in total, and that's it. And then you're going to stop. That's part 1. Let me show you how that actually looks like. So there we go. This is how it looks like. And you can see I haven't trimmed here my ends too much yet. They're all kind of uneven. Some of them are longer than others, right? So this is how part 1 looks like. It's not that much work, trust me. It goes fairly quickly, and you can kind of see how my variegated yarn kind of changed color. I'm not sure how much you can see on this camera actually. It does change from like white to like light green, and then from light green to like this grayish color, and then it goes back into white over here. Not sure why the green didn't pick up again, but I think you go first into white again and then into green. But anyways, it looks really, really beautiful right here. And this is how the project looks like from the front. This is how it looks like in the back. So you're totally fine with how it looks in the back. So don't worry about it. You can snip your ends to, you know, let's say about 1 inch or so at the end. So when you're done, just snip it across. It doesn't have to be all even. Okay, it's totally fine. and then you're done with part 1. You guys always ask me what the measurements are, so let me give you the measurements. Okay, so my project is roughly, let's see, I started here in the front and going over here, which is about roughly 19.5. Okay, so if you're off a little bit, it's totally fine. You know, like 1 or 2 inches off is okay. If I check here on the top, it's the same. Okay, and then this direction, again, that's totally fine if you're a little off. So mine is roughly 7 inches, like about. I lay it down, it's just almost 7 inches, just like a hint off. Okay, again, it's totally fine if it's a little bit shorter or a little longer. There is some wiggle room in this pattern, but this is how part 1 looks like. So now it's time for you to take a picture of your part 1 and post it into the Facebook group called Crocheting with Nikki, and use this hashtag right there in order to be found in the group, and I can celebrate you, cheer you on, and answer any questions that you may have. Isn't that so beautiful? I absolutely love this piece, and I hope this little tutorial helped you to learn how to do mosaic crochet. Isn't that so easy? It is much easier than you probably thought it was, right? You're just really using 2 stitches and you're focusing on, is the pixel blank or does it have an X? And just make sure you're counting properly, so that way things are not falling off and things are maybe crooked or something. So just count your stitches properly and you should be absolutely fine. So, do you have any guesses yet of what we're making? I know you're very curious. Well, part 2 is a little bit shorter. Well, a lot shorter actually, and you're going to be very fast in part 2, so that one is coming out in a couple of days, so get ready for that. And don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. They may also want to join. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell to get a notification the next time I publish a new video or go live. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!